US-backed counter-terrorism Flintock exercise took place in Chad Sunday to prepare a task force to fight Boko Haram, the biggest security threat to Africa's top oil producer, Nigeria, and an increasing concern to countries bordering it. Chad launched the 9th annual training exercise with 1,300 soldiers from 28 African and Western countries after the United States military agreed to share communications equipment to help African allies share intelligence to help them in the fight against insurgent groups. U.S. Army Public Affairs Officer Staff Sergeant Daniel Carter said that the exercise will help African and Western allies to work together against the insurgency.
The kind of training that they receive is all based on real-world scenarios. So what they take away from this is better cohesion, cooperation amongst each other, and amongst other nations, amongst their African partners, their Western partners, their American partners.
West African military commanders have long complained that cross-border operations against Islamic groups, from Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb in Mali to Boko Haram in Nigeria, have been obstructed by lack of compatible communications equipment, making it hard to swap information and coordinate. The exercises this year introduced technology allowing African partners to communicate between cell phones, radios, and computers, as well as introducing a cloud-based technology to allow African allies to quickly share intelligence across borders. Amid growing international alarm, the 4 nations of the Lake Chad region, Chad, Niger, Cameroon, and Nigeria, plus neighboring Benin, are preparing a joint task force of 8,700 men to take on the Sunni jihadist group.
Boko Haram is a militia made of civilians, and they don't have the same experience as we have. We are a well-organized army. They cannot resist us.
Boko Haram killed an estimated 10,000 people last year in its campaign to carve out an Islamic emirate from northern Nigeria. Well, the United States and its allies staged 25 airstrikes on Islamic State fighters in Iraq and Syria, focusing on the Syrian cities of Kobani and Hasaka. Now, for more, our Pentagon correspondent Carla Babb joins us by Skype. Carla, give us a little more details on the strikes that have been taking place in that region.
Well, as you said, there were almost a dozen in Syria overnight, but there were also several in Iraq, which were really interesting based on their location. There were 3 near the Al-Assad air base, and that is where U.S. troops are training Iraqi forces to be better troops. There was also one in Kirkuk, which is the Kurdish region, and there was also one near Mosul.
Mm-hmm. Now, we know that just a few days ago, the U.S. military shared also some information regarding how the Iraqi and Kurdish military force would push to recapture Mosul from the Islamic State fighters. Well, can you give us a little more on this particular update?
That's right. They went as far, a U.S. Central Command official went as far as to say exactly when they expected this Mosul offensive to start and how many. They said that they were hoping it would start in April or May. They said that there would be about 20 to 25,000 Iraqi troops, and they even went into the detail on who would be fighting this. They said there were going to be about 5 Iraqi brigades in the fight. There were going to be 3 smaller Iraqi brigades used as reserves, and then there were going to be 3 Peshmerga brigades that were going to be there for the north and the west to try to contain the Islamic State. And then they said there was even going to be what they're calling a Mosul fighting force, which is based of former Mosul police officers that would also come in and help with the fight.
And you know, as always, people will ask, well, will there be U.S. troops involved in this operation?
Well, they have not made a decision on that, according to this U.S. military official. They're still debating whether or not U.S. military troops will be needed closer to the area. Mosul is a very huge urban location, and so the precision of the airstrikes has to be even more precise than ever when it comes to going into urban warfare. So they have not decided whether or not the U.S. military will need to be a little closer to be able to work and coordinate with the strikes.
Well, thanks a lot, Carla. Well, Carla Babb's VOA Pentagon correspondent reporting live via Skype. Now, we want to know what you think about Africa 54 on the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com.